Discord or Peace by Rashana Gotel. Lately in class, we have been reading stories that have conflicts within them. And the stories that we've read in class were called The Song of Roland and Atsumori. Now, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to share some paragraphs that stood out to me, and I will be paraphrasing them and so forth. And I'll also tell you guys a connection between the two stories and also a connection to a modern source. Starting with the Song of Roland, the paragraph that I chose was this one. Behold a pagan, Valdebrun, who armed Marsil a knight. With cheerful smile he said to Ganelon, "Take this my sword. No man ere drew is peer. The hilt alone is worth more than 1,000 marks. For love I give it, but lend us help against the Count Roland, and show us how to find him in the rear. So shall it be," replies Count Ganelon, whereon they kissed each other's chin and face. Okay, in the story, you have Roland and his stepfather, Ganelon. And Ganelon is being very shady in this paragraph. He is turning against his own stepson by helping the other people try to kill him. And now he's going to help them and lead them to Count Roland. This right here stood out to me because it just shows how shady someone can be. And Ganelon being his stepfather, you would think that, wow, he wouldn't do something like that. But then again, that's his stepfather and not his biological father, so he probably has no real feelings towards Roland. And in this story, Roland is very popular and Ganelon doesn't like that. And so I think this paragraph leads towards peace and discord, because by Ganelon going back and lying and getting them to turn against Roland, he's starting up drama, which leads to the war. But if we look more into it, Ganelon is doing this to maybe bring peace within himself. Maybe he's gonna feel better because he's doing this. So at the same time, it could be peace or it could be conflict. The next paragraph I chose from this is this one. The Count Roland feels now his end approach. Against the pointed rock and facing Spain, he lies. 3 times he beat his breast and says, "Mi culpa, O my God, may through thy grace be pardoned all my sins, or great or small, until this hour committed since my birth." Then his right glove he offered up to God, and toward him angels from high heaven descend. I chose this paragraph because as Roland is fighting, he's fighting for peace. And he's pretty much in the story, he was fighting to the end until he couldn't fight anymore. And if he would have gave up instead of fighting all the way through, maybe he would have been dissatisfied with how he ended his life. But now he will feel more peaceful about the situation because he did fight to the end. But with this paragraph, all it was saying was Count Roland, he's been fighting. So yes, now his end, he believes his end is approaching. And so he prays up to God, and at the end he offers his glove to God. And I see that as a peace sign. Sometimes we have to go through war in order to gain peace. And Roland showed that by fighting his way through the war until the end, and then offering his right glove up, because he knew that he done all he can do, and now he can go out feeling good about it and feeling peaceful about it. So that's why I chose those paragraphs in this story. The next paragraphs will be based off the story Atsumori. For Atsumori, these are the ones that I chose. The first paragraph that I chose was, "Hello there. There's something I'd like to ask you grass cutters. Are you speaking to us? What is it you want? Was one of you playing the flute just now?" "Yes, one of us was playing. It was exquisite, and all the more exquisite because such music is not expected from men in your position." "You say it's unexpected from men in our position. People should neither envy superiors nor despise inferiors, or so it is said." That paragraph stood out to me because of what the last part really said about how you should neither envy superiors nor despise inferiors. This paragraph leans towards peace. And the reason why I say that, because I felt like when Waki said that men in your position aren't expected to be able to play this, and they answer in a peaceful way instead of getting all rowdy and everything. So that made me realize that they were more about peace than conflict, although they still let him know what they believed in and tried to share some knowledge with him at the same time. So basically in this paragraph, what's going on is you have Waki, who hears the flute playing in the back because Waki is trying to get in touch with Atsumori because he was the one who killed him, and now he wants to pretty much apologize, basically. And he hears the people playing the flute, and he knows that it sounds beautiful, and he just want to know, how are they able to play it? That's what pretty much happened in this paragraph. In the next paragraph that stood out to me was this one. "I am Komagi no Jiro no Zane, a resident of Masashi, who has renounced this world and taken the priestly name Rensho. I did this because of the deep remorse I felt at having killed Atsumori. Now I go into Ishitani to pray for the repose of his soul." This paragraph right here leans more towards peace also, because you have this guy who is now a priest who wants to maybe seek peace within himself, because maybe over the years he's been feeling guilty because he was the one responsible for killing Atsumori. So now he's on the search for him. So that's basically all this paragraph is saying, how he pretty much became a priest and he's feeling bad about the situation. Now he wants to go to Ishitani to pray for the repose of his soul. And this paragraph stood out to me just because of the fact sometimes when you do cause conflict and you want to seek peace, sometimes you have to seek it within yourself. And for him to feel better about it, he has to go forth and apologize and show that he really did care and how he feels. And now he wants to make everything better by just going to speak to him. And that's why I chose those paragraphs from Atsumori. Now, let's make some connections here. Now, from the two stories, the connections I see is between Waki and Roland. Now, although those were two different situations, they both were out seeking peace. We have this hero, and we have this other guy who, at first, he wasn't such a good person. He was a bad person because he killed Atsumori, of course. But I can link those two together just because they were going above and beyond just to seek peace. Like Roland, for example, how he was fighting to the end to reach peace within himself, because if he would have just let the other people just have it and just kill him and let it be done, then he wouldn't have felt too good about the situation afterwards. Of course, he'll be dead, but still, it wouldn't have sat right with him, because it just wouldn't feel right. Then you have Waki over here, who's out trying to search for peace within himself, also by trying to get in contact and pray for Oxymore because he killed him. So that's how I can link those two together. Now, some more connections I can make. I was thinking about this movie called Get Hard with Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart. In this movie, you have this character who Will Ferrell plays, and he has been set up by his soon-to-be father-in-law. Now, his soon-to-be father-in-law has went and pretty much betrayed him. They're working for this big company, and the soon-to-be father-in-law knows that he is about to be going down soon, so he gets the Will Ferrell character in trouble by making him take the blame for everything. So then Will Ferrell, he goes above and beyond to prove that he is innocent, and he gets this guy, the guy who Kevin Hart's play, to help him. And I link that to the Song of Roland, because you have the betrayal with the soon-to-be son-in-law and the soon-to-be father-in-law. And those right there, it just screams war instead of peace. But at the end, he does find peace, because he does prove his point and let it be known that he was not the one who did it. But that's how I'm linking the Song of Roland to a modern source, because of that, because of the betrayal, and also how Roland went. He did not go out without a fight. He didn't give up easily. He fought to the end, and the guy who Will Ferrell played fought to the end. And that's how I'm going to link those together. Now that we have our connections out the way, let's go back to the big question from class. Now, the big question said, are human beings built for conflict, rivalry, and war, or do we yearn deeply for peace and reconciliation? Now, in my original position, I explained how humans are built for rivalry and we yearn deeply for peace at the same time, and how we're built for, conflict or whatever. Because I based it on, like, for example, wars. We have wars to bring peace, because sometimes we can't just talk it out like reasonable adults. We have to fight, and then everything is back to normal. Well, everything is okay where as we call it, peace. So after reading these in the passages I chose, I still kind of believe that, but like the passage from the Song of Roland, when his stepfather turned against him, then how I put the passage, how Roland fought to the end, that right there, it supports my position, because the stepfather, he caused the conflict, and Roland and the people that fought with him, they were built for it. They was ready. They fought, even though Roland died at the end. They fought, so they was ready for conflict. But at the same time, they knew that conflict would bring peace after that. After all is said and done, peace was going to come about. And then Samori, the passages I chose when we're talking about Waki, how he became a priest and everything, it was his fault that Asamori was dead because he was responsible for killing him. But after that, he had to go seek peace, and so forth, so forth. So, yeah, I still do believe that humans are built for conflict, rivalry, and war. And we do yearn for peace. And I think it's a cultural thing how people lean towards peace or conflict. Because over here in America, we're quick to holler about peace and all this, but at the same time, we have the most conflict out here, even with simple things like who gets to vote, who has these rights, and who don't. And that's what I just believe. So, yeah, after returning back to the big question, I still feel the same. But using the passages I chose, it still backs up what I say. So, that's it for Discord and Peace Project. Thank you for listening.